Hello and welcome to part 3 of 1 Year in My Life 2020. And I've got up to June now, and on the 12th of June 2020 I was in a place called Nałęczów, and from here I decided that I was going to go north. Now the plan was to go to Gdansk, which is my favourite place. I used to live in Gdansk and I keep going back there, and this place acts as a magnet to me. I am really enamoured of Gdansk, and I think this would be the place where, if I ever decide to retire, that's to say, sort of live in a normal place against a physical place, it will be Gdansk. And I hate to admit this, but I have actually started looking at property. But anyway, I'll be on the internet. I haven't actually visited anything. But anyway, so the plan was to get myself to Gdansk. However, you want to see some shots of Gdansk, you're not going to see them in this video. The reason for that is I failed to arrive. Now, so I've got half of June, all of July, and all of August to play with. So how's it going to work out? Right, so leaving Nałęczów, I headed north and I came to a place called Mława. Now Mława is a town north of Warsaw, and I've been meaning to visit there for some time. Now I've mentioned in the past how I'm a historian. Above all, it's the Second World War which interests me. But in the case here, I was particularly interested to see things related to the First World War, and we have the August 1914 and the Russian attack on what was East Prussia, and the battles of Tannenberg, so-called, and the Battle of Masurian Lakes. And I want to see things related to that. Also, I'm interested in the Second World War history of Mława, and like many other things, I've got lots of notes prepared, and I might do a video on it, but I have got nowhere near doing my video on Mława. Anyway, so I found this place to stay, which was to the north of the city, about 3 days. It was 3 days? Three days I think I was there. And from there, I headed north. And I went to a place called Iłowo Osada. Iłowo Osada is a town with less than 2,000 people. To me, this was absolutely fascinating. I only spent 2 days there, one night. But for me, what I found particularly interesting there, this was once the border crossing between Russia and Germany. It was the main rail crossing, and if anybody is descended from people who came from what was then Russia, or could be Poland, or any part of the Russian Empire pre-World War I, there is approximately 1 chance in 4 that somebody in their family passed through this point. It was a point of emigration. So Iłowo was then in Germany. It was the border town. The Mława to the south was in Russia, Russian Empire. And so there is not much now to be seen of the points of emigration, because lots of places were destroyed. There was fighting there in the First World War, and with the passage of time things get destroyed. But I was there, and I found, for me, this place was utterly fascinating as a historian, and being interested in this type of thing. I appreciate that this is really an extremely minority interest, and certainly even within Poland, I don't think there's many people even have heard of the place, and I suspect that people who may live in Iłowo don't even know about its history. For me, that was absolutely an amazing place to visit. From there, I went to a place called Działdowo. Działdowo, another historical settlement. There is a crusader, a castle there. I had a walk around the town, and from Działdowo I went to Olsztynek. At Olsztynek, it's another place I'd been meaning to go for a very long time. Olsztynek was once called Hohenstein when it was in Germany, and just outside of Olsztynek is what was called the Tannenberg Memorial. Now, the Battle of Tannenberg, which took place in the First World War, a lot of the fighting in August 1914 was in and around Olsztynek. It wasn't in Tannenberg, for reasons I'll come on to, and a huge war memorial was built there. Now, this war memorial was built in the 1920s, but under the National Socialist regime, it became a sort of a symbol, and indeed President Hindenburg, contrary to his wishes, was buried in this the location of his great victory 20 years earlier. He was seen as the symbolism of this victory. It wasn't really his victory, but that's again a subject for a different video. And so this place, however, was partially destroyed as the Germans pulled out in January 1945, and it was more or less completely destroyed in the post-war period by about 1950. But what was curious is you can actually go there and see where this was. Now, I've planned a video on this, and again, it hasn't been done yet. Yes, I know, but I'll get round to that one. Just outside of this was a former POW camp, and once more I'll be doing more on that. In Olsztynek itself, now of this Tannenberg Memorial, which in the Nazi time became a sort of area of sort of pilgrimages, there was a lot of tourist infrastructure was actually done around it. Now, whereas nearly everything has been destroyed, you can see sort of bits of stone on the memorial itself, but there are areas around it where you can still see the roads. There's one bridge, for example, which survived, and indeed the most curious thing of all, I think, is the lion, which now stands outside the town hall. And this was saved because there had been a Soviet garrison in the town, and the commander liked the lion, so he took the lion. And when the Soviet army, or Russian army, I think by then, no, it'd be Soviet army, sorry, pulled out, then they gave the lion to the town, and now it guards the town hall. One part of the Tannenberg Memorial has survived. This bridge, it's about a kilometre or so from the main part of the memorial, I would say, to my eye. And of course it does perform a useful function, a way of getting into this part here, which presumably was seen as being sufficient to keep it in existence at the time of the destruction of the rest of the memorial. And this comes up to the hotel, which is here, Zajazd, hotel restaurant. See, it's probably something which dates the socialist times, and appears to be closed at the moment. But the reason it's closed, it's June now, but the reason it's closed is we have this coronavirus times, as they say in German. Right, so from there I went to a place called Stębark. Now, Stębark as a name is not very well known, but by its German name, Tannenberg, it's very well known. It gives its name to the battle, even though the battle wasn't fought here. The reason that the person who was really the victor of Tannenberg, General Hoffmann, he gave the name of it Tannenberg. It was a propaganda sort of thing, because in the year 1410, the Teutonic Knights, who maybe in Prussian mythology are seen to be the forebearers of the German state, which is completely wrong, but historically. But anyway, they were beaten by a group of armies which, from what is today Poland, Lithuania, and I suppose Russia, really. Perhaps a bit unfair, I can't call it a Russian army, but the people. But anyway, it was the King of Poland who defeated the Teutonic Knights, and this weakened the Teutonic state so much so that it eventually went under. And anyway, so that was in Polish better known as the Battle of Grunwald, and I parked just outside where the Battle of Grunwald was fought. Hello and welcome. Today I'm at the site of the Battle of Tannenberg, known in Polish as the Battle of Grunwald, fought in July 1410 between the coalition of Poles and Lithuanians with some other people against the Crusaders of the Teutonic Order. Now, this battle was fought between three towns. So we have Ludwigsdorf, which Ludwigowo, Grunefeld, now Grunwald, and behind me we have Tannenberg, which is Stębark. For such a well-known name, it's a very small place. It was great to actually get out on my bicycle and visit place, but the place I really appreciate more than anything else was a military cemetery I went to, and being out on the bicycle in the countryside, and I'll say about the bicycle a lot of time, I was on foot, but you had the sounds of nature going through these swamps and forests in summer with this wonderful hot sun as well. And this to me was contact with nature is what van life is all about. From there, the next place I went to was Lubawa, which is a town largely, I think, it works off the furniture industry. I mean, I spent 3 days there. I found it had been a sanctuary, some religious thing, which I didn't quite understand, but it was called the Lady of the, I think it's the Lipa is lime, I think in English, lime tree, but because the ancient Prussians worshipped the lime tree for the female, and so when Catholicism sort of came over and they adopted this symbolism, and I parked in the car park of this sanctuary for 3 days, which was very good. And from here I then went to a place called Mława, which is the subject of part 4.